where regional investors view Ghana as a benchmark, and where every reform strengthens resilience. Together, friends, let us deepen our markets. Let us expand our possibilities, and let us secure Ghana's financial future. We wish all success to give him. Let us mark more of achievements in the next 10 years. Thank you. Years more of success.
The delegation here at the stage has kindly asked that they want to hear. First and foremost is we're very, very proud of this collective achievement by public and private stakeholders over the past 10 years to create this remarkable now institution here in Ghana. But I also think what really excites us is when we look forward. And what we look forward, thanks to this institution and this institutional strength and this public-private partnership, we look forward, we see lower cost of capital for businesses here in Ghana, both local businesses and international businesses coming, and more competitive jobs being created, and an improvement of Ghanaian citizens' lives throughout Ghana, simply because of this institution that started 10 years ago.
So to move, the bonds, and the T-bills are still there, by the way, from the central bank, and put them. And let me acknowledge also my boss, Dr. Dufo, who actually launched the 3-year and the 5-year bonds and extended the tenor of what used to be, or what is now the non-marketable, bonds, which maybe we should bundle and put on the stock exchange, to improve the liquidity. We did issue a dollar bond, $250 million. And I must say, it's partially a diaspora bond. It was to test. And the reason is you needed to have a bank account, because that was a condition we gave the banks. Because there was a worry that people would go to the to the forest bureaus, Cowlane and others to, change, undermine the currency and come and buy the bonds. It was oversubscribed. But we stuck to 6%. At the time, we were doing the sovereign bond, at 9%, 10%, even 12%. It tells you that it's feasible. Most of those monies were actually being held by diasporans, Ghanaians who no interest. Of course, I had mine. So 6% was quite attractive. And we could have gone to 450. I could recall it, 400 or 450. But another thing is that we also wanted to use it to support the self-financing principle for foreign projects, because it's forex. And if we invested in, say, another Terminal 3 with the airport tax, which is in forex, by the way, on the tickets, you could then, channel it into some investments. So we do have 3-year, we do have 5-year. Through GIF, we were looking to, end commodity bonds, GNPC and others, who could raise both CD, and dollar bonds on the Ghana Stock Exchange to finance projects. Municipal bonds, were mentioned. It's feasible. And the principle, and I think we need, because it was right in this room that we did the final work. I know the drafts, was brought, and I know it was a seminal moment for me, because the lecturer from Harvard who came, to help us finalize the bill, taught to me sub-national government finance, in a Kennedy school, in Harvard, and it was such a great moment. I think with the help of the World Bank. By the way, I must mention the World Bank Treasury, which helped us significantly in this exercise on the Ministry of Finance, finance side. So the main challenge for us is, of course, to put the failures behind us. Every big thing has, failures. And that's the way I think we should, look at the defaults to look at. But before default, as I keep saying, we had forgiveness. Now it's suspension. The next time we may not be lucky to have any concession at all. But I believe that it's possible for us to put our heads together. And yes, my friend Winston, that is where the debt, if you don't like sinking fund, just call it the debt repayment account. Because you cannot keep borrowing and borrowing without a mechanism for repayment. And I think that once we get that clearly, we would establish a sinking fund, which we were using the petroleum funds to do. Now lithium has been tabled, a natural resource management fund, as HE mentioned recently. We can extend tenor. I sincerely believe that if we have the market discipline, if we have the debt repayment account to be able to pay, when they fall due, and not have haircuts, the pension funds. I recall when, I think we can extend tenor because there is, and what we dream of a continental, let's look at what we dream of a continental, stock exchange can start.
Set out to build a bridge. This was a bridge between savings and investment, and between stability and growth. We called it the Ghana Fixed Income Market. And I remember that event so well in 2015. I actually worked on the speech for the governor that day. It began as an experiment in confidence. The belief that a transparent, well-regulated bond market could mobilize long-term capital and anchor our financial system. That belief has endured, and that is what we are talking about today. We've been given the figures already from a mere 5.2 billion in trade volumes as at inception. Cumulative trading has now surpassed 1.2 trillion. What that means is that in 1 decade, GIFIM has moved from concept to cornerstone. It is connecting savers, investors, and institutions in a shared purpose. And what are they doing in this purpose? Financing Ghana's development with integrity and discipline. So from the start, this was a collective project, as mentioned earlier, a project that was born out of collaboration between the Bank of Ghana, the Ghana Stock Exchange, the Ministry of Finance was there strongly. Mr. Seth Tekpe is sitting right here, as well as our market participants. Thank you very much, Seth, for all the hard work you did. And the aim was to transform a fragmented bilateral system that was in place at the time into a transparent, centralized platform. That partnership remains at the heart of its success 10 years on. Our fixed income market tells the story of how Ghana's financial system has matured. Of course, not without turbulence, but with tenacity. Fixed income markets do more than raise funds in theory. They measure trust. every auction that takes place there, every secondary trade does one thing. It whispers something about the credibility of our fiscal policy. It says something about the steadiness of our monetary policy. And it also says something about the confidence investors hold in our collective resolve. When that trust faltered during the recent debt crisis, as you remember, the market spoke, and it spoke loudly. Trade volumes fell sharply from 230 billion in 2022, within a year down to 98 billion in 2023. And of course, when credibility began to rebuild, the market spoke again. This time, rebounding to 214 billion by October this year. This reflects renewed investor confidence, and we are beginning to see a lot of that momentum. A deep market, colleagues, allows the yield curve to speak truthfully about risk, about maturity, and about expectations. That ongoing dialogue between the market and the economy is how nations find their financial equilibrium. The years 2022 and 2023 tested that equilibrium in this country. The domestic debt exchange was more than a financial operation. It was an emotional reckoning. Liquidity froze, yields spiked, and confidence wavered. Yet in that trial, three truths became clear, and permit me to walk you through. First is that credibility is in itself capital. Without it, no reform will endure. The second is that predictability is confidence, that markets price stability before they price returns. So it's all about stability. It's all about predictability. It's all about credibility. And the third is that coordination is in itself protection. That's to do with fiscal and monetary alignment. It is the foundation of resilience, and that underscores our approach currently. We meet with the Minister of Finance frequently, and we exchange ideas. I express my concerns, and we come to a consensus. In this, Ghana is not unique. Other nations have faced similar tests in the past, and I can name a couple. Jamaica, they executed 2 debt exchanges without default, relying on openness and dialogue. Greece is another one. They rebuilt their market, and they did so by strengthening post-trade transparency. So Ghana's experience belongs in that lineage. A story not of collapse, but a story of recalibration. We can build back and back better. Today, the macro indicators tell a renewed story. Inflation, once at 54%, has fallen sharply to 8% within the target band. The CD also, which lost half its value, has appreciated more than 35% year to date this year. Reserves, international reserves. The cover is now nearly 5 months of imports, and fiscal accounts are back in primary surplus. But the real story, friends, is behavioral, not the statistics. Behind every decline in inflation lies a rise, and a rise in discipline. Behind every cedi of appreciation lies a recovery of trust. And behind every stable reserve figure that we announce lies better coordination between fiscal policy and market operations. So as conditions improved, the GIFIM responded instinctively, dealers returned, secondary trading deepened, and yields began to normalize. The market once again mirrored Ghana's recovery, and confidently too. And yet, as we celebrate this progress, the structure of the market still reveals gaps. Gaps such as government securities that dominate activity while corporate issuance remains limited. Big gap that we need to fill. Having survived its first great test for the past decade, we need to focus on resilience by design going forward. What do we do with GIFIM? What do we want to see over the next 10 years? First, let's look at depth. Depth. We must operationalize an active repo and securities lending framework to ensure continuous liquidity. South Africa, their bond exchange achieved similar stability in 2005 by turning static holdings into circulating collateral. Ghana can and must do the same. Second is diversity. Our issuer base needs to widen. So far, corporates have raised about 24 billion through GIFIM, a commendable start, but from only a handful of issuers. At the same time, pension funds now hold over 90 billion in GIFIM assets, patient capital in search of productive use. So the opportunity is clear. Link long-term funds with new issuers through credit enhancement tools and guarantee mechanisms. Simple. Nigeria's sovereign Sukuk and Kenya's green bond model, these all demonstrate that diversification strengthens both the market and the economy. To support this shift, the GSE is taking a proactive step, I'm told, to launch an academy to prepare companies and boards to access the market and raise long-term finance. For us at the Central Bank, you can count on our support. These initiatives show that market deepening is moving from plan to practice. Third is on digitalization. We should build towards a real-time, end-to-end digital bond ecosystem, linking GIFIM with GIPS and the RTGS platform for straight-through processing. Examples abound. Brazil's SELIC, India's NDS-OM. These systems show how technology reduces settlement risk and increases investor participation. If trading volumes can rebound, and rebound by over 100 billion within 2 years of crisis, then a deeper, more digital, a more diversified market is not too ambitious. It is our next logical step. But leadership will depend not on ambition alone. It will depend on execution, transparency, and continued coordination between all market actors. Ghana's bond market now ranks among Africa's most credible domestic platforms, with turnover around 214 billion this year. As we were told, GIFM can anchor regional capital market integration. And this can be done under the AFC-FTA financial integration framework. Our goal is to make Ghana the reference point for transparency, for innovation, and for sustainability in African fixed income markets, linking pension funds, banks, and sovereign issuers in a network of trust. Nigeria's FMDQ partnership with Afrexim Bank and Morocco's Casablanca Finance City are all examples, initiatives that show what is possible. Ghana now has a credible opportunity to lead, not to follow. Distinguished guests, if there is one lesson these 10 years have taught us, it is this: markets rise, but they also fall. However, credibility is what endures. We did not merely build a trading platform, we built an institution rooted in trust. And trust, sustained through discipline, through transparency and partnership. This is what remains our most valuable national asset. So this anniversary is not just a celebration of a platform, it is a celebration of partnership. To the Ministry of Finance, Honorable Seth Tekpe is right here. Thank you for maintaining predictable issuance calendars and transparent communication. To the dealers, custodians, and pension trustees, your resilience kept the market alive when others lost faith. And to SEC and GSE, your leadership in governance and innovation continues to set the standard. And to our investors, both local and foreign, thank you for your patience and your belief in Ghana's long-term promise. As we enter the second decade of GIFM, let us seize this moment to build not just a market that trades bonds, but a market that transforms the economy as a whole. Let the next decade be remembered not just for growth in volumes, but for growth in purpose. Purpose where government and private issuers stand side by side, where regional investors view Ghana as a benchmark, and where every reform strengthens resilience. Together, friends, let us deepen our markets. Let us expand our possibilities, and let us secure Ghana's financial future. I thank you for your attention.
From a modest beginning with fewer than 10 participating dealers, the GIFM now records average annual trading volumes exceeding 200 billion. Despite the macroeconomic challenges of recent years, including inflationary pressures and the 2023 debt exchange program, the GIFM has demonstrated remarkable resilience. Trading activity has rebounded strongly, as evidenced in the first 9 months of 2025, reflecting renewed investor confidence and underscoring the market's critical role as a conduit for both government financing and private sector funding. This resilience underscored the GIFM's strong institutional framework and the collaborative efforts among the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Ghana Stock Exchange, and market participants to maintain transparency protection, even in times of distress. Over the past decade, the GIFM has expanded possibilities for both issuers and investors. From the issuer's perspective, the market has provided an efficient avenue for the government of Ghana, financial institutions, and a growing number of corporates to raise long-term capital at market-driven rates. We have witnessed successful fundraising of corporate bonds exceeding 24 billion cumulatively, supporting sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, finance, energy, and real estate. Going forward, the GIFM remains an attractive platform for state-owned enterprises and private corporates to access affordable financing for infrastructure, industrial expansion, and sustainable projects. From the investor's perspective, the GIFM has enhanced portfolio diversification by providing institutional and retail investors with credible fixed income instruments that offer stability and consistent returns. The rise in retail participation through digital trading platform is gradually transforming the investment culture in Ghana, fostering financial inclusion and long-term savings mobilization. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Ghana fixed income market has become a barometer of Ghana's macro financial stability and economic growth. By facilitating efficient government borrowing and providing benchmarks for interest rate determination, it supports both fiscal management and monetary policy transmission. Fixed income securities now account for nearly 20% of Ghana's GDP, underscoring the central role it plays in revenue mobilization and investment. It is a well-known fact that a deep and liquid bond market is indispensable for financing infrastructure, stimulating private sector credit, and attracting foreign investment. Lessons from more advanced markets show that sound regulation, diversified products, and strong investor protection are the cornerstone of sustainable fixed income market development. Thus, Ghana's fixed income market is well positioned to follow this trajectory, provided we continue to strengthen the market governance and foster innovation. As the apex regulator of Ghana's securities market, the SEC remains fully committed to supporting the next phase of GIFM's evolution. The Capital Market Master Plan, launched in 2021, provides a clear roadmap for deepening Ghana's capital markets over a 10-year horizon. Key initiatives under the Capital Market Master Plan relevant to the fixed income market include developing a new bill to replace the current Securities Industries Act to address the dynamic needs of an evolving securities market. And here I want to say that we've actually completed the draft bill, which is very soon will go to the Attorney General's Department. Broadening the issuer base to include more corporates, municipalities, and green or sustainable linked bond issuers. Enhancing transparency and post-trade reporting through the adoption of electronic trading and settlement systems. Promoting retail participation by encouraging innovation in collective investment schemes. To achieve our market development goals, we recognize the necessity of building strong partnerships with financial infrastructure institutions. Accordingly, the SEC is working with the Ghana Stock Exchange and the GIFM Committee to strengthen market surveillance, disclosure standards, and investor education, ensuring that growth is both inclusive and sustainable. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our relationship with the global securities body, IOSCO, remains strong as we continue to participate actively in programs and initiatives. In 2022, the SEC achieved full signatory status to the MMOU concerning consultation, cooperation, and the exchange of information established by IOSCO, underscoring Ghana's commitment to adhering to international standards in market regulation. This status brings increased demand for compliance, and the SEC remains fully committed to supporting the GIFM in meeting these global expectations. Additionally, cross-border settlement initiatives, including those under the West African Capital Market Integration Council (WACMI), are underway to facilitate regional cooperation and enhance cross-border trading and settlement capabilities of our market. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the future of our capital markets is indeed bright and brimming with potential. The SEC remains unwavering in its commitment to steering the market through sound regulatory policies, fostering innovation and ensuring fair market practices. Our continual collaboration with the Ghana Stock Exchange will focus on streamlining processes, enhancing security, and introducing new services that align with global best practices. Together, we aim to build a resilient securities market poised to drive economic growth in Ghana. Furthermore, technology will continue to play a critical role in our capital markets evolution, particularly in expanding the investor base and promoting broader retail participation. This forward-looking approach will ensure a market that is accessible, inclusive, and primed for sustainable growth. As we reflect this 10-year milestone, let us not only reflect on how far we have come, but also renew our collective resolve to deepen the market and expand the possibilities that lie ahead. The next decade must be about depth, diversification, and dynamism. Building a market that is not only resilient, but also globally competitive. On this note, I want to say we celebrate the progress GIFM has made in the past decade. Our greater task lies ahead in scaling new heights, transforming the GIFM market into a deeper, more inclusive and market-ready market that drives sustainable economic growth. And on this note, I want to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the GSE on behalf of the Director General, on behalf of the Securities and Exchange Commission. We extend our sincere, heartfelt congratulations to the Ghana Stock Exchange, the GIFM Committee, our market operators, and all stakeholders whose dedication has made this journey possible.
So, for the next decade, we wish all success to GIFM. Let us mark more of achievements in the next 10 years. Thank you. Years more of success.
The delegation here at the stage has kindly asked that they want to hear, first and foremost, is we're very, very proud of this collective achievement by public and private stakeholders over the past 10 years to create this remarkable now institution here in Ghana. But I also think what really excites us is when we look forward. And what we look forward, thanks to this institution and this institutional strength and this public-private partnership, we look forward, we see lower cost of capital for businesses here in Ghana, both local businesses and international businesses coming, and more competitive jobs being created, and improvement of Ghanaian citizens' lives throughout Ghana, simply because of this institution.
Sorry.